All right, kiddos, so this is where I keep my plants, and that's where I keep my dog. Just kidding, he just likes to lay there for the sun. So you can see I've got quite a few, and these, like I said, are not all of them. I've got more in other places in the house, but we're gonna pull a couple of them that will help us learn about the different plant parts today, okay? So the first one I'm gonna pull is this little pothos. Great, so if you want to spell that, this plant is called a pothos, P-O-T-H-O-S, pothos. This in particular is a golden pothos. You can tell because of the variegated leaves and how they're slightly golden, okay? And so that's, it's one of the more common varieties of this plant. You probably saw that I have some other ones, but we'll get into that later. So this guy is a really great example of leaves, okay? Pothos is a vine, so basically all it has is leaves and stems, but we're mostly worried about the leaves. This is what a leaf looks like. Hopefully, kiddos, you already knew that, but in case you didn't, here it is. Leaves are not always green. They can actually be lots of different colors, but green is the most common because it helps the plant get all the energy it needs from the sun. Plants are not like animals. They do not eat food in the way that we do. So the way that they grow and get bigger is through the sun, is the sunlight, okay? You and I could not just sit outside in the sun and grow, but plants, they definitely can, and the green color is what helps them do it. Now, again, that's not true for every single plant. Some plants have different colors and different pigments, but for most plants it is green. That's why most plants you'll see are green, okay? So, again, this is the little pothos, and he's showing us that this part of the plant is the leaf. So let's go over here and we'll talk about the next part of the plant. Okay. So I will be honest with you, I actually don't know what this plant is other than that it is a succulent, which is a family of plant, which means that it basically means that it has fat leaves. But this little guy does a really great job at illustrating what a stem is, okay? And so the stem is the part of the plant where the leaves grow from. And this guy has stretched a lot. It's mostly because I don't give him enough sunlight, but that's a whole other different time. So all this hairy part that you see here, and again, for most plants it's not hairy, but for this one it is, that is the stem, okay? And so that's the part where the leaves grow from. It's what makes the plant grow taller and taller and taller, and that part is called the stem, S-T-E-M, okay? So his leaves, we just saw a pothos. This guy's leaves look a little different, don't they? They're still green. They're a darker shade of green, which means that he can be out in brighter sun. The darker the shade is, that tends to be the more sunlight that a plant can handle. And so he is definitely a good little plant here. He's got these thick leaves. That means that he stores up a lot of water in those leaves, so I don't have to water him as often. Succulents you'll tend to find growing in drier deserts and things like that, and so that's why they're so fat. Their leaves are fat, okay? If you've ever seen a cactus are succulents, okay? So that is the second part of the plant, is called the stem. All right, this is my beautiful orchid. It is a Phalaenopsis orchid. It's a hybrid. That's why it has the cool striped flowers. It's one of my favorites. But as you guys can tell, Miss Neely is super stoked about this. That's why she's probably talking faster than she needs to. So the next part we're going to talk about is the roots. So Phalaenopsis are epiphytic, which means that their roots don't normally grow in soil, but we'll talk about that in a whole different lesson. Anyway, so these green things that are big down here we see that are, they're even kind of growing up out of the soil, these are roots, okay? And so on a Phalaenopsis orchid, or on actually not just Phalaenopsis, a lot of orchids, you can have that their roots are green because their roots can also get energy from the sun. That's not true on most plants, but on this one it is. The main job of roots is always to soak up water and other nutrients for the plant. So plants can get some of their nutrients directly from the soil. When you have plants in your house, the way that happens is that you give them fertilizer, okay? And it's basically like a plant vitamin. I don't know if you guys have to take your vitamins, but plants need to, or they don't grow quite as pretty and don't have as big of flowers, okay? So our Phalaenopsis orchid is doing a great job of showing us roots. He's got these really big, thick roots. A lot of plants do not have roots that are this thick. Most of them don't, actually, I would say. A lot of them will have roots that are white and a little bit more stringy and a little bit more delicate, but again, because orchids are epiphytic, which means that they usually will actually grow on another plant instead of in the ground, their roots are a little bit bigger because they use them to anchor the plant down, okay? So that is what roots look like. That's another really important part of a plant, okay? big sea wolf here. Okay. Ooh, see if we can get him out. Ah, he does not want to come out. Okay. So this is an African violet. These are my favorite kind of plants. I have the most African violets. I don't know if you were looking at my collection or not. And this particular species of African violet is called the sea wolf. It's been bred particularly to make really, really big flowers. And that is what we're going to be talking about next, is the flowers, okay? So not all plants flower. A lot of them do, but not all plants flower. And so this one does. African violets do flower a lot. That's why they're one of my favorite plants, because they can have all different kinds of colors of flowers. And and I'll try to show you some more here before the video's over. But flowers are how a plant will reproduce, okay? So it's how we get more new plants is from the flowers. They share all their DNA right here. This little part with the yellow stuff, that is where plants produce pollen, which is how we get more baby plants. So this stuff will eventually turn into seeds, okay? And so once that stuff has turned into seeds, the flower part will die, and then those seeds will grow there instead, and then that part would scatter to the wind, and that's how we get more baby plants. So flowers are very, very important. On other plants, like on a tomato or like anything that you eat, those have seed, like vegetables and fruits, those start out as flowers, but then when they get pollinated, their seeds grow inside the fruit, okay? And that's how those plants reproduce, is that animals scatter their stuff. Oh, look at, what is that? Animals will scatter their stuff for them, okay? So that doesn't happen with African violets. They would rely on something like bees to help transport their pollen all around, okay? So those are the big, most important parts of the plant. Next time when we have our next science video, we'll start talking about what plants need, because different plants need lots of different things, but there are some basics, okay? And here I will show you my other African violets. Oh, they're so sad because they really need some water. And so this one's got some pink. I love him. And then I've also got this little guy just started blooming. Isn't that pretty? Okay. And down here I've also got some really cool carnivorous plants. These are sundews. I will show you more about them in our next video as we talk about more about plant needs, okay? So next video we're going to talk about different plant needs. This video we talked about plant parts. So to review, those are leaves, the stem, the roots, and the flower. Those are 4 pretty important parts of the plant, okay? I want to challenge you at home today. What I want you to do is see if you can go outside and identify some different plant parts, okay? So I think that that would be really, really cool if you can tell your parents, hey, I need to go in the backyard, and you can tell them some different plant parts after what you've watched today in this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.